What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Tarun's Thoughts. My name's Tarun Shetty. These are my thoughts. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry I checked out for a minute. Some family is in town, so it's hard for me to get to my phone or even have time to do stuff. It's really funny how my time just gets occupied with just ridiculous things, and I don't really have a job. I mean, I have comedy stuff, but sometimes my day just goes so fast, as everybody else is, I'm sure. But I hope you guys had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. I finally did a guest spot at a comedy club in Tampa called Side Splitters. Remember how I'd always go to the open mic there? So somebody gave me the email to the booker at the comedy club, and I emailed and I was like, hey, can I do a guest spot sometime? He got back to me randomly a couple days ago. He was like, hey, do you want to come by this Sunday? And, you got to move on this thing. So I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Take note, I used to do guest spots when I lived in LA. But when you live in a town, then all of a sudden, they stop caring about you. They're like, well, get to the end of the line. But when you're from LA, you have so much more cachet. In fact, I remember I never passed the comic strip in New York City. I'd go wait in line, whatever bullshit they do when I was a comic coming up. They give you a number, and then that number coincides with the date you come back. Then you go to audition for the first gatekeeper. Then she says yes or no, and she gives you some dumb advice. Then if you get past her, then you go to Lucian, right? And then he passes you or not. So I did that at least 5 times. And I got to Lucian the last 5th time, and he was like, yeah, I already have a Z's. Anyways, so then I went to LA a couple years, and I just called up the comic strip, and Lucian had died by then, and I was like, this is Tarun Shetty. I used to do the comic strip. These are my TV credits. They're like, oh, when do you come by Tuesday to do a spot? I'm like, this is so ridiculous. So going back to this Side Splitters Club, I live here now, haven't been able to get spots, and they were like, hey, come do a guest spot. So I went down, and I did it. Had a good set. The booker was there. I realized this doesn't mean jack shit, honestly. If anything, I realized all these spots are just kind of self-masturbatory. Nobody really cares. It's all about having your fans, which is why I'm on this phone right now. I'm like, well, at least I have you guys. Anybody? Maybe my dad's watching this. I don't know. I'm going to leave for LA probably in the next month or so. But look, if nothing happens in LA, I've been so out of touch with Hollywood stuff. I'll just come back to Florida and just, I don't know, start a gator farm or something. I mean, I'm confused at this point. Anyways, I just feel like LA, New York, those are respected markets in the industry. Why am I wearing a hoodie? It's 1,000 degrees outside. Jesus Christ. So going back to LA, I feel like even if I just go back for a little bit and just, book a few TV things, if at all. I mean, I don't even have an agent at this point, but if I do get an agent, these are all just suppositions. If I do get this, if I do get this, and this will lead here, I mean, Tarun, just live in the moment. However, I did meet the headliner on the Sunday show. I don't want to say his name, but you can just look it up. But he was a nice guy. He was a guy out of Chicago and just a hustler. And we were talking about the business. And, he was a guy who quit his job being a lawyer and started touring around. And I feel like I have so much respect for this guy. And I'll probably meet him, hang out with him some more. And that's the great thing about comedy. You just keep meeting really just inspiring people. These are people who go after their dreams, people who really sacrifice a lot for their art. Any comedian, even the terrible ones, have probably given up, something to do this. People have given up marriages, professions, just money. There's so much sacrifice that's involved. And I was talking to this guy and I was like, man, this guy was a legit attorney and now he's a legit headliner. And, we were just talking and it's so funny. I've been in the business, I think 24 years now, 25 years. And I don't try to name drop, but I just know everybody. So everybody that he used to open for, I was like, oh yeah, he used to open for Dimitri Martin. And I was like, oh yeah, Dimitri, yeah, he was a lawyer too. When I knew Dimitri, I was a door guy at the Boston Comedy Club in New York City, and he was at Yale, and he dropped out of Yale Law School or something. But I'm just saying that this is such a small world, this comedy community. And if you're in it long enough, you just know everybody like in your profession. It's kind of weird like that. And now I know all these young Florida comedians. Like, who knows? Like, I remember seeing Kevin Hart back in the day. He was like a young kid. Like, he's only a little bit older than me. I think maybe like a year or two. And he's a superstar. So I always think like maybe one of these young Florida comedians will be like the next Larry the Cable Guy or whoever. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm seeing them in their nascent stage in their life, and maybe 5-10 years from now they'll blow up. I think there already was a kid last night. There was like an open mic right after the book show, and his name was Cam, and I guess he's like on America's Got Talent. I don't watch that show, but everybody was like, oh my God, Cam's here. And I was like, I never heard of this guy. By the way, I'm losing my hair. Can you see this? This is like terrible. I stopped taking Propecia, and this is the result. I should be making like videos to like document this. I'm sure that'll get more views than my actual vlogs. Just Tarun Shetty hair loss. Like, I feel like that was niche videos. That's like my gimmick. The hair loss comedian. Ta-da! You might know him from his Rogaine ads. I don't know. It's just a sad state we're in. I tell people I really want to let go of all ego. And it's easy to say that, but to actually live that and to not give a shit about how you look or, not even that, but just let go of all the bullshit that constrains us. Like, the one thing about LA which really irritates me, if you're there long enough, you just see people like this holding on to their looks, holding on to their job titles and what they've done and what they've booked. It's just this sad state. And I was like that. Like, I remember when I was a model, when I was like 26, 27, I was like with Wilhelmina, I was making like $3,000 a shoot, flying around the country. And I was like, oh my God, I never like said it out loud, but I really felt good about myself. Like, I was a model and I was like, man, maybe I could, potentially, take this to another level. Cause like models make great money. And I was looking about like going to Italy or Japan. And I was like, maybe I can like just take this to another level. Now, obviously I didn't. I think Wilhelmina dropped me at some point. But I think that's what happens in Hollywood. Like, you just, start losing sight of what's important. And a lot of that is because the surroundings you're in. I mean, that's the business. I don't think it's a maturity thing. I just think, you have to do the inner work to really know what you want out of life. And this is what I say now. Cut to tomorrow, I'm like back in Hollywood, like, God, I got to get a hair transplant. I got to do this. It's really easy to say stuff when, you're in a lanai looking at a pond, right? Oh my God. This week, I'm going to do a spot at this club called McCurdy's in Sarasota. It's like an open mic, but it's like a book show. I had to like sign up like months in advance. But the last time I was there, I did some comedy competition, and I never do comedy competitions, but I signed up and I made it to like the semifinals, and they weren't even good shows. Like, I struggled because the whole audience were like in their 70s. It's in Sarasota, so it's like an older demographic. So I'm just like, oh, whatever, we'll see what happens. But that should be an interesting show because I feel like my act right now really just, it's very irreverent. I feel really good right now. It's not that I don't care, but I feel very free on stage. And sometimes, making cancer jokes to 70-year-olds doesn't really go off that well. So we'll find out what happens on Thursday, and you can find out what happens right here on the hair loss vlog with Tarun Shetty. I hope you guys are having a great week. Thanks for watching. Take care.